In this video, going to take a look at the built-in Django database admin. And to do that, well, first of all, I'm going to have to go into the record store directory where the manage.py file is. And then I'll start the server. Like we've seen before, we're using manage.py run server. Now in the browser, go to 127.0.0.1 8000 and admin. And I need to have a username and a password to log in with. So I can create one of those, again using the manage.py. So Python manage.py create superuser. Now you'll have to run the initial migrations before doing this because it will want to put it in this table right here. It'll ask for a username. When I'm doing demos, I generally use Django and Django@example.com because we're not going to be sending email to this address. And then and then a simple password that I also use for demos. Now if I go back to the browser and try to log in with Django and that password, you'll get this user interface. And right now, the only two models that you can edit in here are groups and users. And if we look at users, you see the Django user that was just created. But we need to be able to edit genres. And the way to tell the admin interface about genres is in this file right here inside of the Stores app named admin.py. And what we'll do here is, first of all, I need to, from models, import the genre. And then I'll be able to use admin.site.register and pass it genre. And now if I go back to the admin tool, refresh, you'll see we now have genre available to us. And if I click add, it will give me a form that has a text box for the name and the slug. Remember that the created date time field does not have to be included. It's always going to be set automatically. So I could say something like classical and classical. And then if I save that, then it's added genre object number 3, which is classical and classical. Now, I want to show you something else real quick about how models work, and we'll do some more admin stuff here in a minute. But notice that these names here, they are not that descriptive. You can actually go over here into the models file, and in the model, if you override the dunder-stir method and then have it return something like just the name of the genre, save that, then what's going to show up here is whatever is returned by the dunder-stir method. And so now we have something that's a little more descriptive. All right, let's add one more, and let's do something like easy listening. Right now, it's up to us to enter the slug and to have it be something that is actually a valid slug. But we can actually tell Django, or the admin rather, to take care of this for us. So I'm going to go back to admin. I'm going to comment this out. I'm going to instead create a class called genre admin. I'm going to have it inherit from not model, but rather admin model admin. I'm going to include two attributes of this class. The first one is going to be list display. And this is, real quick here, let's take a look at groups. Actually users, sorry. This will be the columns that it will display when showing a particular model. And in this case, by default, it's just showing what's returned by the dunder-stir method. So here we'll say something like name, I think, wasn't it that I used? Can't remember what I used. Yeah, name, and then I'll also include the slug and created. Now, as far as taking care of that slug, and we can have it auto-generate the slug by using the pre-populated fields. This is a dictionary. The key is going to be the field that we want to pre-populate, and then the value is going to be a tuple using the names of fields that we want to use to create the slug. In this case, we're just going to use the name. Now, notice something here, that I have included this trailing comma inside of the tuple. That makes it a tuple. If I were to do this, it would just evaluate to the string name. This evaluates to a tuple with one element. So it's it's a subtle difference, but it's very important. Now, if I go back to genres, and something happened here. Oh, I forgot to do one thing. I now have to use the admin register decorator and pass it the name genre. There we go. And now you'll see that we get more information about each type. And if we add one now, and I start to say easy listening, notice that it is creating the slug as I type. And if I save, we now have easy listening. All right, so that's an easier way, especially during development, to work with the database using the admin tool. And but of course you can still use code, and we'll be using code in the next video in order to retrieve data from the database and show it in a template.